Hi, so this is my 2015 resolutions video. First of all, I apologise for the lighting. It is like, we're in the middle of a heat wave in Australia and there actually is quite a lot of light, but I blocked it all out because otherwise this room would be like a furnace. So I wanted to talk about my goals and resolutions and such, and I was a bit nervous to make this video because I felt like I've been obviously thinking about this for a few weeks and I felt like there was lots rolling around in my head and I was like, it's too many, I can't, do all of them. But then I went to write them down and I realised that there's actually only 4. So that's a lot more manageable and a lot less than it seemed. The first one is pretty simple. It's the Goodreads reading challenge. I'm sure most of you are doing this. I've set mine at 40 books, which is the most I've ever set it at, but I read over 40 this year, so I think I'll be okay. I think I'll do it. The second one is a little bit more vague than the Goodreads challenge. I don't want to force myself to read books anymore, or force myself to want to read books anymore. I'm sure I'm not alone when I say that I sort of have this image of who I want to be as a reader, or the type of books that I want to read, or the type of books that I want to have read, and it doesn't always match with what I actually feel like reading, what I actually enjoy. And so I'll often try and force myself to read something and I just don't enjoy it. I don't get out of it what I thought I would get out of it. But that doesn't result in me going, okay, maybe I shouldn't force myself to read books. It results in me feeling guilty for not liking a particular book, which is ridiculous. That's what this resolution is about. I don't want to feel guilty for not wanting to read a book or not liking a book anymore. But this is a very vague resolution, so I wanted to quantify it in some way, and I've done that in sort of 2 ways. The first way is I'm going to start implementing a 10-page test, which is exactly what it sounds like. If I have the inclination to start reading a book, I'm not going to, settle on it until I read 10 pages. I'm not going to commit myself to reading it until I read the first 10 pages, and then I'll just check in after those 10 pages and see how I feel. Does it feel tedious? Am I at all intrigued? Do I want to continue reading is what it comes down to. And I think this will be a fantastic sort of screening system for my books. I probably should have implemented something like this sooner, but it takes me a while to get around to things. And the second way that I want to sort of enable this resolution is through an unread or unfinished shelf on my Goodreads. I think a huge reason why I feel so guilty for not finishing books, even though I do it all the time, is because it feels like such a waste, and it feels like almost like I can't talk about them on my, I can't make a review of them, I can't really talk about them, I can't rate them. It's almost like it never happened, but it did happen, and that sort of feeling like, well, I did read, but now it's kind of useless. It makes me just feel guilty for some reason. So I think having an unfinished shelf on my Goodreads to put those books, it's already like I've already started doing it, and it's already making me feel a lot calmer about the whole thing, and it's making me feel a lot less guilty for not finishing a book, because they have a place to go. They still count. They just count as unfinished. The third resolution that I have this year is to read in different ways. So what I mean by that is to read ebooks, to read library books, and to read audiobooks. Now, I used to do this in 2013 before I started making videos. I would do this all the time. There was a library right near where I lived. I read audiobooks. I was living with my sister and she had an e-reader, so I would read ebooks all the time. Like, I read in lots of different ways. It was a lot more fun than what I ended up doing in 2014, which is finding out a book on the internet, looking it up, buying it online, and then reading it. And that's not a bad way to read a book, but every single book that I read was that was the only way I was reading, and it got a bit repetitive, it got a bit monotonous. It also made me it just didn't make me excited as much as switching it up does. So that's what this third resolution is about, going to the library, listening to audiobooks, using the new e-reader. I bought myself an e-reader a couple days after Christmas, so I would like to start implementing that in my reading, and just not having the same, reading path every single read. I also think it'll give me, freedom to try out different stuff. I haven't really read any graphic novels, and I would like to see what my library has. I'd love to start reading more non-fiction. There's less commitment when there isn't, a physical book that you have bought that will sit on your shelf forever. It's just less intimidating and you can just try out different stuff, so I'm hoping to do that as well. And then my last resolution, number 4, is I want to start reading different nationalities, or rather I want to start reading not so much US and UK literature, because that is the bulk of what I read. I did my statistics video and I had a graph in that about this, and I was just so, I knew what it would look like. I knew that the majority would be US and UK, but still just seeing it really made me sad, because I'm Australian and I have not read that many Australian authors throughout my life. I feel like even in Australia we are, you know, a part of that US UK publishing bubble, and that's the majority of what I read. I really want to get out of this. I don't think I've ever read a Canadian author. I don't think I've ever read a New Zealand author. And these aren't, you know, there's this huge topic on BookTube about diversity in authors of colour. For me, I'm not even at that point yet. I'm just trying to read different countries, you know, like I'm fine if I read more white authors, just as long as they're from New Zealand or Canada or France or wherever. Obviously I would like to include some authors of colour in there as well, but I just want to read things that aren't from the US and aren't from the UK, because to have my reading dominated by these two huge countries, it feels imbalanced, because it is imbalanced. Again, this is a bit of a vague goal, so to quantify it, I want to read at least one author from another country other than the US or the UK a month, so one from a different nationality. And at the end of the year I want to have my percentage of other to be at least at 20%. Hopefully it'll be above 20%, but if I get at 20, I will be happy. I know that's quite a low number, but I still think it's you know, an improvement, and I'm starting slow. So that's it. I really like these goals because they're not telling me, you know, specifically what to read. You have to read this book and this book and this book. It's just sort of nudging me in the direction that I want my reading to head in, rather than any specifics. You know, I'm not locking myself down to books before I even know what I want to read. In fact, that's the opposite of what I want to do. I really want to try and just follow what I'm in the mood for and not pressure myself to read any book to try and fulfill this image that I have of myself as a reader, which doesn't exactly fit with who I actually am as a reader. So good luck on your 2015 resolutions. Let me know what they are below if you would like. Thank you for watching.